In this video, we will show you how to replace your front door upper hinge on this Dodge Dakota. This will be located between your front door and body of the vehicle. Let's get into it. Okay friends, let's get started on our job. The first thing we want to do is support the bottom of our door. I'll use a jack and some pads to protect my paint. Now that we have the door supported, let's make our way to where the door connects to the hinges. We'll start at the top hinge. You'll find that you have a 13mm headed nut, and then directly below it, you have a 13mm headed bolt. We're going to loosen the nut, but leave it on there a couple threads. For this, I'll use my ratcheting wrench. Make sure it's still on there. Do the same to the lower hinge. For this one, the mounting nuts down along the bottom. We'll loosen that, leaving it on a couple threads. Now we can take that door and slowly pull it away from the body of the vehicle. Now let's move along to the wiring for the door. For this, I'll use an angled pick and carefully remove my boot. Now with that out of the way, you'll notice that I can wiggle this around, but it is still held in place. Looking down in this area, you can see that there's a little squeeze tab. Here, here, and the same on the reverse side. To easily access these, I'll be using my angled pick. I'm going to come from the inside of this area and gently pry up against that tab. As I do that, I can carefully pull it away a little bit. I'll move along to each tab doing the same thing. At this point, you can start disconnecting your wiring. You'll find that you have a white connector and a black connector. For each of these, you want to press in on the locking tab and then carefully remove it. Every time you disconnect an electrical connector, take a peek. If you see any funny colors, it's corrosion, and that would need to be dealt with. Those look good. Now we can move along to removing our nuts. While you do this, be extremely careful. These are the last thing holding your door in place. Now let's grab onto the door and we'll carefully pull it away from the body of the vehicle. Now before we continue on to removing the door hinge from the body of the vehicle, it's a good idea to mark exactly where the original one is located, so when you put on the new one, it's in the same alignment. I'll use a dry erase marker here. You can also use a crayon, whatever works for you. At this point, we can continue on to removing our three 13mm headed bolts that hold the hinge to the body of the vehicle. Now we can remove our final 13mm headed bolt. We'll hold the hinge while we remove it. There it it is, friends. All right, let's take that brand new hinge and put it into position, taking note of exactly where the original one was. Once you have all three of the mounting bolts in there, go ahead and double check to make sure you're aligned properly. Assuming you are, snug up each of your mounting bolts. Torque each of these to 21 foot-pounds. The next thing that we'll want to do is put the hinge in the open position. When you do this, it's going to be under spring pressure. Use a long flathead screwdriver so you have plenty of leverage. We'll come right inside one of these holes on the ear and gently pull it away from the body of the vehicle. There's one click, we'll go one more. Now let's carefully start bringing the door into place. This is going to be easier if you have a second person. Let's slowly bring this over and put the stud through the hinge. Now once you have both of those hinges through, start on each of your mounting nuts, but leave them loose. Maneuver the door until it looks as though it's aligned with the original hinge points. We'll continue on with the wiring harness. Continue on to putting this in place. Lightly tighten the mounting bolts. Remove the support from under your door and test the door functionality. When we do this, you want to make sure you come in as slow as possible in case it's a little off. You don't want to damage the body of the vehicle or the door. That looks like it lines up perfectly. We'll make sure the door shuts and it's as even as possible. If it didn't look like it lined up, continue on by making an adjustment by loosening your hardware, adjusting the door, and then snugging it. Continue testing until it feels as though it lines up properly. Once you're sure it closes properly, torque all of the mounting hardware to 21 foot-pounds. All right, let's test its functionality one last time. Perfect. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.